Welcome to Anyone Can Learn to Code. Continuing our dog class example, we are going to introduce a new concept called a constructor. Constructors are simply a matter of convenience, and we will demonstrate them to you right here. Now, currently, the way we are utilizing our dog class, as you can see on lines 29 through 32, is that first we tell the dog class to create a new instance of dog, and then we set the dog's name and breed and age. Now, wouldn't it be convenient that as soon as we actually create the instance of a dog, it can actually come with a name and a breed and an age without us having to establish those attributes on future lines of code? That's what constructors help out with. In Ruby, if you make an instance method called initialize, that is a special method that Ruby recognizes, and it is known as the constructor. The idea behind a constructor is that as soon as you have a class instantiate, that is, create an instance of that class, the constructor instance method will automatically get triggered and run. That is, as soon as you say dog with a capital D dot new, that automatically calls the initialize method, even though we never explicitly call the initialize method anywhere. To demonstrate this, let us have the initialize method do a simple puts hello. For now, let us eliminate these lines of code here. Let's open up IRB and load in our file, and then say dog.new. We can see that it does return a dog instance, but before we get that instance, we see that hello has been printed to the terminal. How did that happen? That's because initialize is a very special method. It's the constructor that automatically gets triggered whenever you say class.new. You could almost look at it as if this method is the new method of the class. However, that's not the way it works in Ruby, and the constructor must be called initialize. Now, what this allows us to do is we can actually have the ability to pass parameters to the constructor. So let's do this example of passing in an argument called text. And instead of putting hello, we can just put whatever text the method received as an argument. Since we've made changes to our file, we're going to reload it. And now, in order to pass arguments to the constructor, when we say dog.new, we don't simply say dog.new, but we also add parentheses. And in the parentheses, we can pass an argument. And I'm going to say goodbye. And we can see that it actually prints goodbye to the terminal before returning the dog instance. How does this work? Whatever argument you pass to the new method when telling a class to create a new instance actually gets sent to the initialize method. It is received here in this temporary variable, and then we can use that temporary variable inside the constructor. How is this useful for us? It's useful for us because we can use it in order to establish attributes of the new dog instances that we create whenever we create a new dog instance. For example, we're going to have the constructor accept not one, but 3 arguments. We're going to have it accept name, breed, and age. And we will say @name equals name, @breed equals breed, and @age equals age. I cannot overemphasize that the @ inside the instance variable is part of the instance variable name. So @name is something entirely different than just plain name. Plain name, in this example, is the name argument. So we take the first argument, whatever the user passes in, that becomes this temporary variable called name without an @ sign, and we use that to establish an instance variable called @name, and we set that instance variable to be whatever is passed through as the name. And we do the same for the breed and the age. The way we use this is that down below, we can say dog equals dog.new, but instead of leaving it at dog.new, we now have to pass in 3 parameters. And we can pass in the dog's name, breed, and age in that order. So we can say Fifi, Poodle, 1. And now to test this out, we can add that line we had from before and run this in our terminal. And we can see this dog is a 1-year-old poodle named Fifi, so it works. Essentially, using a constructor is a convenience but very common approach when using Ruby classes. Again, how does Ruby know that Fifi is the name, poodle is the breed, and 1 is the age? The answer is, that's how passing arguments to methods always work. It all goes based on the order in which we pass it in. Since we pass it in the order of Fifi Poodle 1, that gets assigned to the order as described here of name, breed, and age. Then in lines 4 through 6, we establish 3 different instance variables accordingly.